So what I got today is a set of American Standard Hampton, I believe, washerless bath faucets. These are not a cheap set. They were well over $250 when I installed this, probably pushing 5 years ago now. And I've had a couple of issues over the years with them starting to leak. So I think I've figured out how to fix it, if not permanently, but certainly to keep it going for a fair amount of time without spending any money on it, really. So this is what today's about. The first thing you got to do is obviously shut off your water, as if you don't do that, as soon as you get the handle apart, you'll wish you had. I'm going to do that now. Okay, now that the water is off, I know it's the hot faucet that's been the issue, so we'll just let that drain for a second, and then we're going to start disassembling. First thing you got to do is there's a cap on here that has to get popped off. Okay, so you can pop that cap off with just, normally, there it is, a little screwdriver. Got just a little O-ring on it. Probably best bet to close the drain. Then you've got a brass flathead screw down the center. That holds the handle on. Then this piece, which sets the indexing, comes off. And then what you have to do is take the escutcheon off. There. And now it's exposed. What you have is this piece here. This brass piece unscrews. That, actually, sorry, I gotta take this off as well. There, that'll help. This piece unscrews out of the back housing. And that is the valve. You know, this is what actually turns the water on and off. So we're going to take that apart if we can. There she goes. There may be a little water that comes out. There. That's all there is to it. As you can see, a little bit of an O-ring on that, fits in there, no problem. And now I'm going to move this over to a bench and show you a little bit more about it. Okay, so as you can see, let's see if I can turn it. That is what opens and closes the water. And then it goes through there and comes out through these holes and then goes into the system. But what can happen, I've found, is these O-rings in here, one of them's kind of a hard plate, that, and then you got a soft, pretty large soft rubber type ring. If you pull those out and then try to pressurize this, it leaks like a sieve. So what I've done is found that if you grease these, if you lubricate these O-rings real well, not till it's gloppy and falling off, but if you put some O-ring lube on them and put it back together, it'll stop leaking for a good 6 months. Now, the other alternative is you buy yourself a new one. They're about $15. And it comes with a bunch of extra parts because, you know, here's your part number. Because it's got a whole bunch of different, you know, American Standard and a bunch of other stuff. But it's basically American Standard plumbing parts. You can get these from Amazon. But I'm going to put this together now and get a little bit of lube and put that in, dry it up, put it back together, and we're going to go from there. So I've put some O-ring lube on that. Put that back in. Pop that back in. We're back together. Now we're going to reassemble it. Actually, I'm going to put a little bit of lube on this outer O-ring. Make sure that doesn't leak. There we go. Now we're going to reassemble it into the wall and test it. Okay, so reassemble this. You know, it's not the best piece of kit. Alright. Now we're going to go turn the water back on and give it a test. Alright, so we're going to turn it on. Turn it off. Make sure it drains. That's just the vent. And let's see if it stops. Well, I can't say that I'm 100% happy with that. It has worked in the past, and I think what happens is that outside rubber O-ring gets kind of compressed down, and it's no longer sealing in the manner that it should. So I'm going to go shut the water back off. We're going to swap this out with the new one one of the new ones I have, and then we're going to try it again. Okay, so water's off again. There we go. Pop that off. Get the new one out. And several of these adapter pieces that come with it you don't need, but yeah, it does come with another screw and a couple of other things, and don't need any of those, but it's probably not a bad idea to test fit the actual fitting, the screw that came with it. Yep, and it is correct. Alright, and just for grins, here's the old one, here's the new one, same length, good. And I guess what I do see, I don't know if you can see it, is the new one does have a little bit less compression of that gasket. So that is probably what's going on. And one thing I think you can do is you can order just these internal pieces. I haven't done that yet, but you can order them just like they are without having to change this whole little valve. And I think they're a few bucks, but they're harder to find. So here's our new one. Now the other thing you may have to do, actually, before I take that apart, make sure, okay, that is still closed. Okay, this one is closed and the old one is closed. And you have to look at how they're configured. And if you look, you can see that this stop is different than this one. This is set for a left-hand turn, this is set for my right-hand turn. So I need to pop that pin off, flip this around 90 degrees, and then put that back in. Close my faucet in case I shoot it somewhere. That little locking tab comes off, and you can just pick that up, turn it 90 degrees, and then slide that if you need to. So now both closed, and they both match. So this one should work with the direction I want my handle to turn. Yeah, there we go. Good. Crank her down. That's it. Doesn't need much because it does have an O-ring fit. She moves. All right, now we're going to go turn the water on. Okay, water is on. All right, well, I think that's just residual in the pipe. You can see it's kind of slowing down and continuing to slow down, but there's quite a bit of residual up in the vertical section of this pipe, how it gets there in the back. But I believe that's a lot better than it was, if not perfect, but we're going to monitor it for a little bit, but I believe I got her fixed. So that, if anything else, is how you change the cartridge in your American Standard Hampton style faucets. And it may actually work for quite a few other different types, but they're going to be all similar if it's going to be something like this with a reasonably high-end bath faucet or things like that. That's washerless, obviously. So anyway, hope you found that helpful. If you did, give it a like. Please subscribe to my channel. I'm sure I'm going to be doing more little things like this as I find it. And if you have any comments or suggestions, please feel free to leave them. I'm usually able to get back to you pretty quick. Thanks. Take care.